Hi there, this is Trolls from ADO, and in this video we are gonna skinny dip with our new Legion Series 66 basses. And you may be pondering, why 66 basses? Like, what's up with you, ADO? And it's a valid thought because it's never been done before, and that's actually one of the reasons we wanted to do this. Try to venture into the things that haven't been done before. Sure, we've done our 240-piece majestic orchestra and our 200-person epic like Cremosa Choir. We've done our crazy acoustic grand ensembles, and we've done our extreme ensembles with 10 drum kits and 10 synthesizers and all that stuff. But we've never done such a big-ass ensemble of just one instrument type. And this is where the premise of 66 basses begin. We want to focus on very specialized aspects of the compositional process and how it ties in with the orchestra. And for me, this library is really born out of necessity. Like when I'm doing custom cinematic work for clients like Tesla or Blizzard or Valve, I often find myself lost for really beautiful, professional sounding cinematic basses. Sometimes I'll take our normal strings and I'll down tune them, and then I'll do custom designed synthesizers and add it to that, so I get that fat bottom. But it's a fairly labor intensive and involved process of layering and processing the sounds in so many different ways. And I'm like, it would be so cool to have a library that's purely dedicated to cinematic basses. So let's get 66 basses in a room. This has never been done before. Let's pay the $70,000 it costs to do a thing like this. Let's take different analog synthesizers and fuse them together and create this beautiful section of analog synth basses. And let's put it all in one beautiful library to cover this single aspect of composition, cinematic basses. But perhaps the most important aspect about this is that we're looking at a new instrument, something that can actually do something that we haven't been able to do before. This library is uniquely warm, like the plane scene from The Dark Knight Rises when Zimmer so beautifully uses Moog basses. You know, that warm cinematic sound that bleeds into the subwoofer and just becomes that beautiful, fat cinematic sound. That's what this library is about. And just to give a little bit of perspective on what it actually takes to do a production like this, involving professional bass players from 9 different countries. We had to fly them and drive them from all over Europe to meet together and be completely surprised that they were not going to play in a normal symphony orchestra, but they're only going to play with like-minded bass players. Anyway, there's a lot to cover. Why don't we just get started here? I'm going to show you a variety of different presets from the library. We have 5 different core groups of patches, counting different types of sustains, a large section of short notes. We have another section for sound effects. We have another section for bending notes. We have a massive section here for different types of arcs. And then we also have this bonus section here of custom designed analog synthesizers. Really awesome. Everything you're going to hear in this video is purely played with the library here. There's nothing else coming in. It's straight out of the box. Isn't it awesome? So fat and rich. In this case, I was using our crescendo slow mixed with harmonics. If you click the stack button down here, you can stack all the articulations together here. You're going to see some fairly complicated stackings in the library. For example, here with the custom synthesizers, I have one patch here using 4 different stacks, or in the case over here, 2 different ones. But stack is awesome because it quickly allows you to take different patches here and combine them in real time. It's really awesome for effect stuff. You can also click here on our reverse button, and I'll show that as well, and everything gets reversed. In this next example, we're going to be listening to Spiccato Bartok on the spot microphones. 66 basses has 10 different microphone positions. The spots are great here because you get a little more definition of the sound. And then here on the other side, we got mix, Decca, wide, far. And then we also have a Neumann binaural microphone here, which is awesome if you really want that sort of virtual reality sound of truly being in the hall. But I'll cover that later. And in this example, I was playing the spiccato and bartok combined using the stack function here, and then I also warmed it up here with our super warm preset that provides this beautiful truffle butter underneath your mix. Let me show you another patch also using our synthesizers here, but in this case I'm augmenting the synthesizer with a bass line played here with our giant gentle motions patch, combining a pianissimo arc and a tremolo arc here. And the library really does have a unique soft side to it. Obviously, when you have that many players, it's cool when they play fortissimo, but it's almost better when they play softer as well, because you get what I can best describe as an epic, gentle sound. Let me just play these arcs here by themselves. Here's another version of an arc. In this case, I took the pianissimo arc, I clicked stacked and combined it with another arc here, and then I clicked reverse, so the entire arc is actually backwards. And that warm, slightly growling sound, that's the sound of 66 basses. That's the sound you cannot get anywhere, because you can get the growl maybe, but the spaciousness, the lushness, the fact that you have 66 different double basses all amplifying the room and each other, it just does something magical, and that's why it sits so well in the mix. So even though I'm just demonstrating here standalone, when you hear some of the demos and you hear how well it sits in a mix, it's like, all right, cool, we're done with cinematic basses. And it's not just that it solves your compositional need, but it's also that it solves your engineering need. There's no reason to really master with this stuff. It really sits that well in the mix. Here's a very different example using the harmonics from the library. This is from a preset called Harmonic Textures. So yeah, it's a great library for creating organic ambiences as well, just using the harmonics of the strings here. Let me show you another one here. One of the funny things we did in the sessions was that I spent the first hour just tuning the guys, because I thought when they were tuning it was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever heard, because there's just something different about it. In this case here, I'm going to be playing a resonant tuning cluster here. And as you can see up here, it says binaural. And if you click the mixer page here, you'll see that we're going to be listening to the Neumann binaural microphone. Let me show you a picture here. It's this skull that has the shapings of your ear canal. One of the unique things about the human ear is that the sound actually reflects and bounces on all the different parts of the ear. So Neumann actually rebuilt the human ear canal, and when the sound goes through the ear, it's supposed to sound like you're truly there. Binaural is designed for headphones, so if you put on your headphones, you're going to hear exactly the same perspective of where the conductor stood in the hall, so you can hear it from his perspective. And it is truly like virtual reality for the ears, but they actually sound super cool on speakers as well. It can be fun to combine them with the other microphones here. They do pick up some different things. Check this reverse cluster. And they're kind of cool to tune up as well. Let me tune them up an octave here. It's also fun to take something like a percussive cluster and then reverse it and just play a bunch of keys together. And he's actually using the binaural microphone as well. Let me unreverse them. Let's hear them in the other direction. Nice and loud and chaotic and unsyncopated. Here's another example of the binaural microphone here playing on the bridge to E and then seagulls. We had the bass players try to mimic the seagull effect that's more common in the cello. Isn't that a wicked effect? Let me try to unreverse it here. To me, it sounded like a choir of wolves sort of howling together in the end. And that's again the magic of working with 66 players. You don't really know what's going to happen. Nobody has ever heard that many instruments of their same kind. So we do a lot of experiments in these sessions. It's not just multi-samples, but it's also experimenting with the sound of what they can be and make them sound their very, very best. Which is why, for example, you're going to see there's a really big section of soft notes in the library because they sounded so beautiful when they were playing softly. And beautiful in a different way in here when they're playing bridge to E and seagulls together. We also have the ability to gate things in the library. So if you want to make a rhythmic texture out of the samples here, just click on modulation and you'll find a gate function here that allows you to do step-based gate rhythms. And of course, all you pizzicato lovers rejoice because here is the most kick-ass pizzicato ensemble. And that's playing very softly on the keys, but there's that unique bottom, that fat, beautiful, round, warm, cinematic sound. You'll also notice that I put a little bit of the Bartok on top of the normal pizzicatos just to give it a little more of a percussive quality. Great for more epic styles of music if you want your basses to have a little more definition on the attack. And speaking of definition on the attack, let's check out the Spartak here, an epic combination of spiccato and Bartok pizzicato. And if you thought that had a deep sort of wide sound like you're really in the hall, it's because we're combining the Decca tree with the binaural microphone here. It gives a very large natural acoustic representation of what actually happened. Another unique addition to the library is the fact that we both recorded normal short notes, so pizzicato, spiccato, Bartok and all that. But we also recorded 3 different types of spiccato ostinatos and Bartok hits as well. And these are connected notes. So whereas with the multi-samples here, they're separated, the spiccatos actually played in consecutive order, both in 4th, 8th, and 16 notes. Let me show you what it sounds like. In this case, I click the stack function. I combine the spiccato ostinato 4th and 8th note and the Bartok hits at the same time. We also have Time Machine Pro and Time Machine patches, so things like these are completely tempo synced. Let me try to play something a little more in the vein of The Last Emperor by Sakamoto. another cool thing is that we have ostinato and multisamples combined. So you can actually use the stack function here and combine normal multisamples with the phrase-based ostinato here. It's also fun to combine more harsh articulations such as staccato and decrescendos together. It really gives like a potent sound. And sprinkled with a little bit of the super warm synth. Let me just show you a couple of the custom synthesizers in the library as well, standalone. These were specifically designed to sit in cinematic mixes. So you're going to notice a certain soft but really rich profile on all of them. And this is just one of the presets that I created for the library because it has that specific bass sound I use for most of my stuff. But you can actually quickly design your own bass sounds by using the stack function here and then just start combining different synthesizers together. It's the quickest way of creating really fat presets. You don't have to load different things. It all comes preloaded. All you have to do is to click here, use your ear, and then dial in the sound you want. Here's another one of my favorites. This is the movie Marmalade. And trust me when I say these are not just generic synthesizers. We're using analog sources. We're combining them for each of the pads here. They're designed as ensembles as well. And it is hard to replicate. This alone took one of our sound designers about a month to create. We actually have 3 different banks of synthesizers here. So in total, you have over 50 different ensemble-based synthesizers you can combine things between. Check out the butter bass here as well. Oh, and did I mention that this library has really awesome sustains? These are X-faded, of course, so you can move between dynamics on your mod wheel. Let's try them here on the Decca and the binaural microphone combined. It's kind of funny, right? Like when it plays that first segment, it's like, all right, these are cool, these are basses. But when you're playing 3 octaves and you get the bottom notes there, it's a completely different deal. And if you ever feel like, hey, I want a little more bottom sauce in my mix, I want a little more of that sweet truffle butter underneath my composition, just add one of the custom synthesizers here. In this case, the super warm preset, which I've completely messed up right now. Let me just try something random here. I'm gonna play what I just played together. And let's put that on top of the sustains we just played.